everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tuber. Welcome back. If this is your 18th The Rookie Feds episode review, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there. It's been a long 3 weeks since we last been on the air. I missed the show. I missed this world, but now we're back. We're back in full force. We're in the final stretch of episodes. There's only 5. Well, after this episode, there's only 4 more episodes left before the season finale. Which I'm pretty sure will be out by May. So we are wrapping it up. I'm kind of a little concerned. We are reaching the end of May. We don't know what the shows are going to be renewed yet. So I don't know if we're going to get Rookie Season 6 or Fed Season 2. I hope we do. I really hope. These shows are killing it in the views. So hopefully they're gonna come back for more. But for this week's episode of Rookie Feds, I will say, I'm being honest here. It's funny, like yesterday, when I did the rookie episode review, I said that was one of the best episodes of the entire season, the entire show. On the flip side, I wasn't really connecting much with this episode of Feds, if that makes sense. I still feel like it was an average episode of Feds, but I feel like of the 18 we've seen so far, this definitely is gonna sit at the bottom in terms of, and again, that's the thing when you get a TV show with the minute details of course, when you're gonna rank episodes or you're gonna say, oh, this episode was amazing or this episode was great, like, you're gonna have episodes in any show, in any season that are like, okay, that was alright. It definitely wasn't anything too spectacular. I thought there was moments in this episode where I thought they were enjoyable, but definitely they didn't service for me, it didn't service the larger picture, so to speak. It wasn't giving me like these great moments. This felt more like we were kind of etching along the characters as we approached more bigger points. I thought this was fun, but it definitely didn't like really like give me those audible moments that like, and I really hate compare like again like the primary show to the spinoff. Like, you know, there is this like synergy, like you noticed it, you really can't. But you know, it doesn't take away from the fact this was still an entertaining episode. It brought another well-known actor from my universe to the rookie verse, and yeah, I thought this was just pretty fun. That's all I gotta say. Let's go for the butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of the Rookie Feds. So we catch back up with the detective that Simone made friends with / kind of romantically interested in a couple weeks ago. She's waiting for her for breakfast. Not like a breakfast date, more like just getting breakfast, you know, just casually 2 law enforcement officials just grabbing breakfast together, that sort of thing. Simone is a little bit late because she's just coming from a long overnight shift at HQ, so she's kind of, you know, running a little high and a little late, but she's there. They're kind of already making fun of each other based on their orders. One's like very health conscious, the other one's like, you know, I don't give a damn, give me the greasiest shit possible. A dog runs up to Simone covered in blood. Obviously she fears the worst. Simone chases the dog back to its owner, or at least dog carrier, as a dog walker was just attacked and, you know, is bleeding from her head, but still perfectly stable and fine. But she notices that the keys to all of the dog houses that she has, the owners, have been taken, and she has some pretty valuable clients. So she's fearing that there a lot of robberies are occurring right now. So Simone calls in the FBI, but however calls the feds over. But the detective is like, nah, don't worry, I'm just gonna call LAPD. This is not a big deal. It's not a big serious case. And you know, she says like, I think something along the lines of like, you know, something snooty, or I think that was later on. I believe so. Yeah, it was later on. So we cut back over to the fishbowl where Brendan is just kind of like, you know, zoning out a little bit. He's kind of like not in the right mind space. Antoinette shows up saying that they just finally had sex the night before, and she was kind of distraught the fact that Brendan did not stay put, that he was away. Like, you know, they finally did it. They consummated their relationship, and the first thing Brendan decides to do is leave. But Brendan has a pretty good reason. His sponsor for many years, or for many months, has sadly relapsed, and the wife called him over to kind of find him, to see where he is. He was at a dive bar, and sadly he broke his sobriety. He went from having years after touching an alcohol beverage to now months, not months, days. And it's kind of affecting him because, again, you know, Brendan looked up to his sponsor as like the symbol of like, I can't get through this, I can't power through, and now he's kind of like, oh, so it's not that easy as I've thought. And he's kind of distraught, but he is going to apologize, or he's going to make it up to her down the road. It's just like right now he needs a little bit of TLC right now. Meanwhile, Garza is having a private meeting with Carter and Laura, commending them that it's now been 4 months into Simone and Brendan's training period, and so far they're doing pretty well, and their mentors are doing great at teaching them. Which I'm like, wait, we're 4 months into the timeline. How slow is this taking? It's like that's only small side when you're doing a shared universe. That we know the Rookie takes place now in March of 2023, and now you have Feds, which if you want to connect, I mean, let's say even October. Let's give them like they start. Simone and Brandon start in October. It's only January, which I'm like, you are falling off the beaten track. And I'm pretty sure they had Valentine's Day already. Yeah, they had a Valentine's Day episode. So I'm like, that's really, I could be wrong though. Maybe my months are wrong. Who knows? But it's been 4 months, and like, that's the work. But anywho, and they're comparing straws a little bit. Laura's like, hey, I have to turn an actor to an agent. And Carter's like, I'm turning the wildest, most, randomest woman on the planet to be an agent. Like, I haven't made any, and Brendan hears a little bit of it, but he thinks more it's like, like a comparability contest between him and Simone. So he's hearing this and like trying to like, now trying to get an edge over Simone a little bit. But they're noticing that Simone isn't here. So Garza calls her, Garza gets a call from her. He answers and she just immediately said, yeah, I've walked into an international crisis here, which I'm like, oh, Simone, what did you get yourself into now? We cut over to Mid-Wilshire Station, which confirms that, yes, this detective is working at Mid-Wilshire. My only slight issue with this is that she's not mentioned in the Rookie, so I'm like, I know, I get it that, like, yeah, she doesn't have to be privy to whatever's going on the Rookie side. I understand that, because there was that lead detective that Lopez had issues with back in season 3 when she was like when she was pregnant. And we haven't seen him since. Like, since that season, we have not seen him. So, how does the chain of command work in that station? I really don't know. Is this convenient that we have a detective character that's on Feds, that works at that station, but we never see her on the Rookie side? And then you have, like, our favorite 2 Rookie detectives that are not there when Feds are happening. So, it's like, weird. I understand, like, there are calls. They're like, it doesn't always have to be a crossover week, or like, oh, we got to see a cameo from Gray, or we got to see a cameo from Nolan. I understand they're two separate shoots, so like they can't always guarantee that. But it's like kind of weird, in my opinion, a little bit. So it turns out when they were looking up the clients that the dog walker had, she had a Russian consulate as one of her clients, and sadly they broke into the house and they stole I forget what it's a consulate bag. It's basically an important, like, bag that's only meant for like the consulate to open. So these having possession of it is basically like, it could be a big international crisis if like it ends up in even wronger hands. They also call in one of the Russian what's the title called? It's liaison, I believe. No, it's basically like a communicator, like it's a representative. And and then she's like, knowing Garza, knowing his history with the FBI, she's like, I'm really more privy to work by myself, but like, fine, I'm only here because you're the one who stumbled onto this case, so I'm just getting this out of the way here. Garza's trying to figure out what was inside the bag, but she doesn't know herself. But even if she did know, she wasn't going to lay privy to them to knowing this. But Garza's like, you know what? I'm going to find out anyway, so okay, fine, leave it like that. So they decided to continue onwards with the case. I want to say their first step is visiting the consulate itself, where they are met by the one and only Mr. Dickovich from Spider-Man 2. I remember that face anywhere. I remember that voice anywhere. He does not say rent in this episode, sadly. I would have loved a random moment, but we did not. But he is there, and he explains that, like, yeah, I'm not even privy we were supposed to, I don't even think I had one of those bags. So I'm like, okay, I know we had one, but I'm like, where did it come from? Eventually, once they leave and denies, any assistance to the FBI, he turns over to his right-hand man, his main bodyguard, and tells him, like, I don't have that bag. So the only other person who can have that bag is my son, my stupid son that I dragged along with here because better life. So I want to say afterwards, how did they get? I want to say Laura and Brendan are doing a search on the car because they managed to get one of the surveillance videos from one of the robbers. And so they're tracing the car. They get an accurate match to a nearby person, and they eventually discover they're like, okay, this should be the guy. So they go over to his apartment. So everyone on deck, they head over there. Well, everyone except Carter. They head over there, but the individuals are already gone. They don't find the bag anywhere. But they hear a noise on the roof. They see two bodies falling, presumably the two robbers. So Laura and Brendan head up to the roof, while Simone and the detective head back down. They don't find anything, but they see that one of the presumably the person that caused them to jump in the first place has already run away to another building. But by the time Simone and the detective hit the street, they find nothing. And this is where the detective kind of like schmirkily said, like, yeah, next time you invite me for breakfast, I ain't gonna go. I ain't dealing with this another international crisis again. So they managed to get a canvas over the area. They apparently, they find that they were going to sell all these, and they're hoping that the bag would be one of them. So they decide to start rummaging through their phones to figure out like where this could have all led to. But meanwhile, back at the embassy, well, the house of the embassy, the son and his personal bodyguard are just coming back from something, but then the main bodyguard stops both of them. He takes them both down, explaining that he wants to see the bag, which the son denies. But the father comes in, takes the bag, and he finds out he did have a bag with him. So cutting back to the same time as the feds have finally gained access to the phone, not getting much of previous information, but only just the recent data. It does confirm, yes, they did have the consulate bag, but the content was only plates. Yes, U.S. currency plates, $20 plates. But the good thing is they aren't authentic plates. These are bootleg. They are fake because they have copper in them, and the real plates do not have copper in them. So definitely this is a fake, but it's a pretty good fake. So them being here in LA, which is the capital of bootleg money, it definitely is not a good sign for them. Plus also, why would they have it? Like, why would they have these counterfeit plates? So their next goal of like, well, if the son has the plates right now, then it should be back in the house. So Garza pleads with the woman that he used to have contact with, but she still declined. But what she will do is get two of his men in to go get the contents themselves, and then for her to take the credit for it. So they agree to do that. So Garza decides to send in Brendan and Laura, acting like, because apparently Brendan's show Vampire Sucks was super popular in that part of Russia. So, okay, cool. So Brendan going in, like, they have the guys of like, yeah, it would make sense for you to be there as a paid appearance since it's that country loves you. So like, it would make sense for you to be there. While Simone, Carter, and Garza are just watching via the van. So they go in. Brendan's a little bit worried, to be honest with you, because Brendan will be around alcohol again. He will have to like kind of act the part of, how he was before, that was a part of it. Even he has to talk with Antoinette, describing they're like, yeah, this is kind of, a little bit scary. This is a little bit, I don't know, like, oh, no, not Antoinette, Simone, because Antoinette stops Simone asking her about the sponsor lapsing, and Simone didn't know about that, but she knew about the lapsing part. But still, even talking to Brendan, like, don't worry, I will be there. If there is a moment where like you're going to slip back to that old self, I will go mama bear on you. I will pull you out. Do not worry about that. So they go in. So Brendan's acting the part of being like still the same movie star that he was. Meanwhile, Laura goes in to try and, crack the safe and, get the contents out, but she is attacked by an unknown assailant, presumably to be the son. But she does get briefly injured and briefly left unconscious. So by the time Brendan goes to go get her, the plate's already gone, presumably by the son taking them away. And the other thing is that, they get caught by the diplomat and his bodyguards. So, and since technically they're in that weird, murky, neutral ground, technically them being on their property, they're kind of not viable to the laws there. Garza attempts to negotiate a trade of like, just let them go, and we won't expose the fact you have counterfeit plates. So they manage to cancel each other out, so allowing them to go back. But immediately Laura heads over to Antoinette to get the any sort of bodily fluids, any sort of like skin contact from her dress taken from her, so that they can probably ID whoever did this. After that, Brendan and Antoinette just have a brief conversation about Brendan's worriedness during that moment, but thankfully nothing did happen. And, he's still kind of rattled up by the fact that, his sponsor lapsed, and he was totally fine. He had he was doing everything correctly. Meanwhile, Brendan is somehow very impressed the fact he managed to get through that without an issue, but also again, he thought it was scary the fact that he had to go through all that. He went through having to switch jobs, switch professors, switch environments, so getting into a brand new relationship, all elements that are recommended to not do when you're trying to accomplish sobriety. But the one thing that Antoinette kind of took away with that was oh, we're in a relationship, so now you feel like your sobriety is an issue. They're that could cause you to lapse. But we'll cut to more about that later. It's the next day. Simone, having worked basically 2 long back-to-back shifts, is basically tired, got nearly hit by a car. She calls over her the detectives to kind of drive her home and make sure she's safe. And she's kind of questioning, putting her in check, look, you need a better work-life schedule. If you keep working these super long shifts, these super long, without much rest, then you're going to lapse. You're going to eventually get yourself into an accident and burn yourself out. Which is a fair point. Cutter makes an appearance, is his usual banter and everything. Brendan stops by for a little advice that again, he's not sure what to do. After all this, is he still doing the right thing? Is he still doing everything right? And of course, Simone, being the mama bear she is always supporting him, always making sure no, you're doing the right thing. Don't worry about it. These are just bumps along the road, so to speak. Laura heads into work early. They get a match to the DNA that was found in her dress. It was the son, so the son does have possession of the plates. Who is already in contact to make basically what was the term? Bootleg $20 bill. So the plan is working on his front. So now it's up to the feds to kind of basically hunt them down and figure it out. So once they all regroup again back at the fishbowl, they're kind of figuring out what their next move is. How do we figure out what would be the best connection to find out who he went out to go get these bills made out of from. So Simone already has a contact of sorts via her dad's chess buddy. So she heads over to the park, seeing Cutter basically losing the game of chess to him. Simone eventually whoops his ass, and she manages to get a location on the individual. So her and Carter head over there. There's a brief shootout, but sadly, they were not able to get the son in time. I think they get the plates. I think they get the main provider, but they don't get the son who is responsible for this whole ordeal. This is why I kind of get a little bit murky, because he goes after the contact that Garza had for some reason. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember what entirely the reason was. But eventually he is trailing her, but since she was a former spy, she already knows the art of trailing and being trailed. So she manages to hide for a little bit, manages to put his suspicion elsewhere, runs for it. Eventually she manages to get away, but the feds already show up to arrest him. So he's arrested, and that is game over. I want to say, I think after that, damn, I really forgot what happened after that. It's over, thankfully, said and done. Really no big international, conflict occurs. Thankfully, all is recovered, all is well. They just have to put it under wraps for now. They'll handle it, basically. Yeah, Brendan has another talk with Antoinette, saying that, because Antoinette was taken to heart that, oh, you mentioned our relationship as a factor that could cause you to lapse again. So if you don't want to be in a relationship anymore because you don't want to risk that, that's fine. Do it now. Because I'm ready to put the work in, but if you don't think we're worth, risking it for, that's fine. But Brendan says, no, that's not what I meant. I want to keep us going, so don't worry about that. We're going to keep going. Laura B. Wallace has been having a little bit of PTSD from the events of the episode. She even has a private conversation with Carter about, her being knocked out, being taken down briefly, that kind of caused a huge blow to her safety, to her status as an agent. But Carter's you know what, you gotta roll with the punches here. You're gonna have days like that. It's not always gonna be picture perfect. All you can do right now is just take it in, relax, and take it by the next step, and that's all you can do. So my wise words from Carter. Simone does have another meeting with the detective. She comes over to her house saying that you need something to do. You need something to really unwind yourself in the comforts of home in order for you to keep balance in your life. So she decides to bring her over yarn to to make some fun fabrics, which I'm like, I will never do yarn at any point in my life, even when I'm old. And I'm going to clip this out to my future son, my future grandson, clip this out. If your pops or your grandpops is sewing for whatever reason or yarning, please slap that out of my hand right now. Play back this clip, and I'm going to say to you right now, future Joe, stop with that. Just stop. But you still look good for your old age. You still look good. Anywho, that was the end of this week's episode on that very, it's a bonding moment. It's a bonding moment. Like, you know, it's not, they're definitely going for just a connection, but it's still not clear if it's going to be romantic or not, which I do appreciate. But that was it for this, but that was the end for this week's episode of the Rookie Feds. For me, yeah, I still think even after the recap, I didn't think it was super memorable. I did like Brendan and Antoinette kind of like, you know, strengthening their relationship more by these odds. Simone and the detective kind of like, it's a different type of relationship because, you know, we've only seen like Simone's exes and then her brief fling with her father's child. Her father's girlfriend's child. So yeah, this is definitely taking it at a different approach. Like, you know, kind of like, you know, they're equal, but they have different experiences. So that does definitely bring out a different dynamic between them. So I did appreciate that. The overall plot was all right. It definitely wasn't anything to like call home special about. Nothing really engaging about it. Kind of confusing at times, in my opinion. And sometimes formulating. But I did appreciate they did bring in Mr. Dickovich as actor to kind of join in this larger world for a little bit. So I did very much appreciate that. But overall speaking, I don't think this is the best episode Feds have to offer. This definitely was kind of middle of the road, getting us where we need to go. But yeah, it just makes me excited for, like, you know, what does the finale have to start? Like, you know, I want those big moments. I really want those big moments. But for now, I'm only going to give this episode 1 thumbs up. I still liked it, just nothing special to call home about. But let me in the comments below what you think of this week's episode of Feds. I would love to have a conversation with you down below. And I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the hopeful first season of the Rookie Feds. If you want to know what we're doing over in What's the Two besides our Rookie Feds episode reviews, we're currently doing Walker episode reviews, Perry Mason episode reviews, and the Rookie episode reviews each and every week. But if you don't care about the Rookie Feds, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review, so stay tuned until then. But until that moment comes, stay safe out there, be good to each other. Please always make sure to subscribe, like, favorite, share, ring the bell, and follow us on social media. But until we see each other again, stay safe out there, be good to each other. I don't know why I repeated that twice, but anyway, peace out.